Oh yes, Loki goes through a bunch of long wires to become the god of time. Sylvie exists in season 2 with no purpose or story arc. Morbius roams around having nothing to do. Jonathan Majors pulls off 2 versions of Kong with ease. Marvel fanboys and fangirls have been hyping up Loki Season 2 as some kind of prophetic MCU savior. Meanwhile, this season isn't half as good as Season 1 of Loki. With all the garbage that Marvel has been pumping out, the bar has been set so low that MCU stans would celebrate any show or movie no matter how terrible it is. MCU fans are no different from Taylor Swift fans or K-pop BTS fans. MCU stans are the worst kind of people to measure filmmaking excellence. Now Tom Hiddleston has been playing Loki for over 14 years, that's more than a decade. No way close to how long Hugh Jackman has been playing Wolverine, but still 14 years of playing a villain or an anti-hero is long enough to ruin a character.
Time travel! What? I see this as an absolute win.
Loki in Season 1 was the very same Loki as the one from the first Avengers movie, meaning the same Loki who was okay with committing genocide and waging war against the people of Earth. Dude tried to take over New York with Thanos' army, but failed because of the Avengers, so Loki in Season 1 of the show was the very same fascist genocide maniac who wants to rule over Earth. In Loki Season 1, Marvel made Loki go through the same amount of character growth by making him watch his life on a TV at the TVA, such a Marvel thing to do. Similar to Batman finding out about the Justice League members from an email in Batman v Superman, he went through the very same arc as in the previous movies, where he learns about how powerless he is, how useless his Infinity Stones are. He saw his life from all those MCU movies play out. Thor: The Dark World, where Loki lost his mother, Thor 3 Ragnarok, where Loki lost his father and Asgard, Infinity War, where he lost his life protecting his brother. Loki saw how his choices would eventually lead to his death, a meaningless life. He also learns about his other variants. One of them even sacrificed himself to protect our Loki. Dude also learned about Kong the Conqueror. He learned about the multiversal war. All Loki ever dreamed of is to be a king, to rule over his subjects, to sit on a throne to rule over. It doesn't matter if it's Earth, Asgard, or the multiversal throne, it's all the same to him.
Say my name. Say my name. Say my name! Say my name!
In Season 1, Loki became soft again by meeting Sylvie, another version of Loki from another universe, and obviously the selfish hypocrite Loki fell for himself. He fell in love with Sylvie, who also had the fire for our Loki. But in Season 1, Sylvie murdered He Who Remains, a version of Kong the Conqueror, so in Season 2, when the show begins, everything falls into ruin. The multiverse is branching uncontrollably. With no TVA to prune unwanted timelines that would result in Kong the Conqueror and the multiversal war, briefly speaking, we learned in Season 1 of Loki about Kong and his variants running around conquering different universes for himself, very similar to our evil Loki who'd kill New Yorkans to become their king. Compared to him, our Loki is a saint. Now, since Sylvie murdered He Who Remains, that resulted in multiverses branching and the Time Variance Authority lost its leadership or something, you know, if you really think about it. This entire He Who Remains watching over the multiverse doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, if He Who Remains has the power to stop and rewrite time and multiverses by himself, then why does he need the TVA? In Season 2 of Loki, our Loki took up the throne of Kong. Dude becomes He Who Remains. He can control time and reality, pause time and rewrite history. At the end, Loki goes around making a multiversal throne for himself, similar to He Who Remains, who sat on a throne. A palace for himself from where he'd rule over the multiverse and prune unwanted timelines from branching and creating the Kong multiversal war. Most of Season 2 is spent on Loki trying to figure out how to navigate the multiverse, similar to He Who Remains being the all-knowing time god. Season 2 is spent on Loki conquering time. Using his magic powers, Loki also spent decades of time learning physics. In Season 2, as established, he has become a physicist, a scientist like Kong. So basically, Loki in Season 2 becomes the perfect Kong replacement who knows how to manipulate timelines using science and magic. Even though the show had enough intrigue for me to finish the entire show, it's far from perfect. For example, what becomes of the TVA now? Since Loki has taken over from Kong, what becomes of Sylvie and the other TVA members? What happens to Kong and the multiversal war? This season of Loki has opened up infinite questions and answers none of them. The show does not have enough action scenes. The fight sequences were mediocre.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
The budget of the show practically seemed low as hell. The CGI for the most part felt better than Secret Invasion, though I'd argue that most of the show had almost no visible CGI effects. The story felt stretched to max compared to Season 1. Tom Hiddleston carried the whole show on his back. Jonathan the Girlfriend Choker Majors also did his best as Victor Timely and He Who Remains. Though at times Victor Timely felt overacted compared to Season 1, and Season 2 Sylvie had nothing to do. She has no arc, nor does she have any meaningful puzzles to solve. Her existence was to nudge Loki to sacrifice himself for the greater good, like Tony Stark snapping his fingers to save his wife and his daughter. In the finale, Loki used his magic to somehow influence all timelines and take over from some weird time machine. No, it doesn't make any sense. What was its purpose? How does Loki using his magic change everything? How does all that technology work? Don't know. Nobody knows. Don't pretend like you do, because you don't. It was stupid, but it worked for most Marvel fanboys and girls. These losers don't care how mediocre the rest of the show was.
Know your fucking place, trash!
All they cared about was Loki sacrificing himself like a white savior, like Jesus Christ carrying the cross for everybody else's sins. Loki truly became god of time and multiverse in their eyes. Having a strong and colorful ending isn't enough. The rest of the show was trash, with terrible plot to garbage action scenes, to Marvel science that makes no sense. If you give the plot of the show a minute of your thinking, you'd realize how trashy the dialogues are and how low the production quality was. Plus, MCU and Loki Season 1 set up Kang the Conqueror as this gigantic villain who'd win, where Thanos lost, as this terrifying figure who'd most likely kill all the Avengers and take over. They even propped up Victor Timely, a Kang variant. But none of that paid off in Season 2. Where did the Kang storyline go? What was it with that Kang statue? Did Marvel and Disney cut off Kang's storyline because of Jonathan Majors, the wife slapper's legal issues? Did Disney create another Johnny Depp situation? Time will tell.
How about a magic trick? I'm gonna make this pencil disappear. It's gone.
Anyways, the Season 2 of Loki was forgettable and boring, except the end where Loki got his throne. That's something he always wanted, to be the ruler, to rule over mortal men, and he got it. But Loki Season 2 fumbled the bag when it came to Kang's storyline or Sylvie getting her arc or even the rest of the TVA having a meaningful resolve. Season 2 felt rushed and amateurish. There was no monsters to fight unlike Season 1, there was no villain either for this season, and we all know a show or a movie is only as good as the villain. Loki Season 2 lacks in every department from action scenes to romance, and Season 1 we had Sylvie and Loki, won't they drama going on. In Season 2 Sylvie's screen time and her importance was reduced to almost a background actor. Why was she even in the show? The future of Loki, the multiverse and Kang is now unknown. Season 2 again is another Marvel filler content similar to Marvel's Secret Invasion storyline. The main character on both the shows have gained god-like powers, and for what? The villains of both the shows sucked. Making the characters super overpowered seems like a bad choice. I mean, look at DC and how they have trouble roping in Superman for their movies. Dude is super overpowered and can end all the movies by punching his villains a few many times. I believe Marvel has made the very same mistake as DC Comics. It would be impossible to tie in Loki and Gaia into the Avengers movies because they could end the movie fairly quickly without dropping a sweat. We need shows and movies that are interconnected, have important stakes for the future of MCU. Decisions made in these TV shows and non-Avengers movies should have major consequences. Without consequences, these small MCU movies and TV shows of Disney Plus are nothing but filler content designed to bait audiences to pay for their Disney Plus streaming platform. Without providing quality entertainment, baiting audiences with mediocre Marvel content could only last so long.
Well, that's definitely shite.
Plus, it could also destroy the goodwill and brand quality that all those MCU movies have built over the years. Anyways, what did you feel about Season 2 of Loki? Let me know in comments. Bye-bye, my friends.
So long, gay boys!